Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of The Offer. My name is Daniel. I am one of your hosts today, and joining alongside me are Anthony.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
And Shahbaz.
You never take sides against the family, all right, Anthony?
I did.
Offer
and can't refuse.
Could you imagine if Fredo responded like that? I didn't.
I didn't.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Michael.
Shouldn't we talk this out a bit more? Michael, why are you giving me... why are you giving
me such dialogue right now, Michael?
This is a brand new show from Paramount Plus. This is the second Paramount Plus show that we've spoken about on the movie podcast. The Offer is going to be coming out this week, and we're going to talk all about it. But before that, I just wanted to see how you guys are doing. Shay, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just another day. It's raining today, but it was really, really warm outside, so I'm feeling good. I feel like whenever it's a nice warm day, my mental health's at a good place.
That's good. Anthony, how about yourself?
Doing well. Today was it's a shitty day because it is raining, so you kind of it's blah. But the Raptors are on, and at this point in time in our recording, it's halftime, and they're in the lead. So hopefully by the end of it, they won.
We'll see. I mean, because here's the thing, right? Like either their brains or their signature are going to be on the final score at the end.
God,
you know what I mean? It's up to them. But yeah, I mean, for you listening to this right now, you are listening to this after, so you are privileged to the information that we not have. That they could be winners or they could be losers. We don't know yet. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday. We have a great episode out right now where we talk about everything that's happening with Netflix, the Thor Love and Thunder trailer, and so much more. And don't forget, you can catch a lot of our review episodes, just like the one you're listening to throughout the week, and all the latest movies and series. Make sure to follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. You can also follow us at youtube.com/TheMoviePodcast and check out our show notes for all of those links and more. I almost put a little bit of a spicy flair on the
maybe it was Italian
on the youtube.com. I wanted to. So here's the thing. When I was introducing you guys, I wanted to introduce you guys so badly as my Cosa Nostra or my Goombas, like something like that. But I wanted to pay respect to Anthony too, because I didn't want him to be like, that's not me.
The Italian Italian League of Canada would not approve of this.
Yes,
exactly. We don't approve of stereotypes.
There you go. And if you couldn't tell already, the show we are talking about today is The Offer. This is a brand new series coming to Paramount Plus on April 28th with the first 3 episodes. Those are the first 3 episodes we'll be talking about today. Spoiler free. And it is an original series, like I said, based on the Oscar-winning producer Albert S. Ruddy's extraordinary, never-before-seen experiences making The Godfather. You guys heard of The Godfather, right? You're familiar with it?
Small film, I believe.
Small film.
You're familiar?
Right? Small.
Yeah.
Independent. I think it made like 133 million.
Could be something like that.
Like 800 million right now.
Based on the most successful book at that time, other than the Bible, and then became one of the highest grossing movies. It's a movie. It came out. Don't worry about it. It got a couple sequels. The series stars Miles Teller, Matthew Goode, Juno Temple, Giovanni Ribisi, Dan Fogler, Gorman, Colin Hanks, and Patrick Gallo. And like I said, The Offer is a 10-part series debuting on Paramount Plus with 3 episodes on April 28th. And I want to say thank you to our friends at Paramount Plus for sending us the series to review. Now, because we've gotten all the introductions out of the way, you know what the show is going to be about. Anthony, instead of kicking it to you for our synopsis, let's just get right into our discussion. Let's go into our first reaction for the first 3 episodes of The Offer.
So yeah, I really, really like this show, and there's a lot to like about it. There's also things that I don't like about it, but the things I do like, The Godfather to me is, it's like the holy grail. Being an Italian, you gravitate to the Godfather. It's like it's part of your blood, it's part of your traditions, and
it plays at your baptism, I think, too.
It plays at your baptism and your communion, at your wedding, and at your funeral.
All the holy sacraments. I think watching The Godfather is part of the holy sacraments in Catholicism for sure.
I think truthfully, my parents introduced The Godfather to me at a very young age. I want to say like I was eight or nine when I first watched it.
When you had your first kill, right?
Yeah, first kill. After my first kill, and you're like, you watch it.
Then you watch The Godfather.
Like, this is how you should have done it. The gun behind the toilet there, Anthony.
Do you remember specifically the first time you watched The Godfather, Anthony, or do you think it's something like when you ask somebody, "Oh, when's the first time you heard about the Beatles?" It's kind of like you don't remember, but you always it's always been with you.
Well, I remember I was very young. I wasn't I wasn't a teenager yet. I want to say it was like 1995, 94, that time. And I remember, like, just like Star Wars, it was 2 VHSs. It was huge. It's like, oh, this is a long movie. And then, my mom said to me, this is a movie at the time when they made it was never seen before. Like, just everything that they did and told and the story that they told was so unique and so ahead of its time. And I fell in love with it from that point on, and just going through the years and the different versions of it, and having other gangster type of flicks. The Godfather always stood out to me as the best, other than Goodfellas. But I think The Godfather, it introduced family. It introduced these, yes, they're gangsters, but there's more to it than just being a gangster. I think Martin Scorsese's Goodfellas is just being a gangster. Well, the Godfather is the family and the classiness of being a gangster. It could be, but I enjoy the show. I didn't know anything about what went behind it. So learning about the making of this movie fascinated me. I was gripped by like the first episode didn't grip me as much, but once you hit the second and then the third, it got me hooked. Like I love that they really Paramount really dived into their history on making films, which is cool. And you get a history lesson of where Paramount was, who owned it, how movies were being made.
You get that inside baseball that you don't always get to see. And it reminded me a lot of watching Entourage, when you're just seeing the wheelings and dealings that go on behind the scenes, all the bullshit that happens behind the scenes to make a movie. It's so sleazy and slimy, but you get a backstage pass to that. And I think that's what makes the show so fascinating. Yeah.
And you get an idea of like people that like Francis Ford Coppola, and introducing Albert S. Ruddy, who I didn't know much about until this movie, and then learning about he's Canadian, he was the producer and where he started from, but learning about Mario Puzo and where they all started and what made them want to make this film. There's so much about Frank Sinatra being part of like this series, this making this film being made, and how he didn't want to be made. The Mafia plays a huge part of it. There's a lot of things that I think if you are a fan of The Godfather, you're going to be like super excited to watch it, because you're going to learn so much about it, and actually shocked that this was happening while this movie was being made. Like, it's just some of the stories and some of the things that you will witness is absolutely wild.
There's a lot that goes behind the scenes for movies that you don't realize that happens. And I think for myself, like, and as I've said on the show, and you guys know, and I feel are the sames. Yeah, you guys are the sames. I love behind the scenes. I love the making of. I love seeing what it takes to make a movie or a show, because it feels like magic, and I remember us talking to Mike Marino a couple months ago, Anthony, and being like, what he does, like, takes hours of work, and, we take advantage of it because we just see the final, we just see the magic trick. We don't see what it takes to pull that off. Right.
Yeah.
And I think with the show does really well. And what kept me interested throughout these first 3 episodes is that knowing what that magic trick at the end is going to be, knowing is what they're going to be able to pull off. Now, for myself, was that execution always the greatest? It wasn't always the strongest for me on my end, but I'm going to kick it to Shay to give his first reactions.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that you guys kind of touched on is very similar to how I feel. For me, The Godfather, it is one of the absolute greatest movies I've ever seen. I remember being also, I think around the same age as Anthony, at around 8-9 years old. And when I first watched it, I found the cassettes, the 2 giant cassettes in my house, and I asked my grandfather, I'm like, hey, what is this? Like, why is this movie in 2 cassettes? And my grandpa was like, oh, this is one of my favorite movies. It's The Godfather. Let's watch it. And I remember we sat down and watched it, and I fell in love. I was absolutely floored by this movie. I didn't understand it as I should have, but I kept revisiting it, and I still revisit it almost every year now.
The Godfather, I think, is one of the most rewatchable films of all time.
100%. It for its length and for its subject matter, it is so rewatchable. It's crazy. So I was very curious about the show, and I was really looking forward to it. I was a little let down, and I think for me the reason why I was let down is you have a lot. We're right now in the golden age of television, where a lot of studios are making shows, and what they're capitalizing on is telling a great story in as few episodes as they possibly can. When I found out that the show is going to be 10 episodes, I got a little worried. I'm like, oh man, this is a show about just making one movie. So why do they need this many episodes? And they must be really, really drawn out. But then when we get to the first episode, and it time jumps like crazy, where you don't get to spend that much time with Miles Teller's character in his first job, but he becomes a producer, and then he, produces Hogan's Heroes, and then he gets married, and then like it just keeps jumping, and you're like, well, what am I attached to right now? Everything's kind of moving very quickly. I also found that the dialogue was very cheesy. It kind of just felt like it was written with a very low common denominator of writing. There wasn't any depth to the characters and a depth to the writing. I was still curious as to every moment that kept passing by to see where it was going to go to, but it never was landing with me. But the show still had my attention. So that is a testament to the show to still keeping me entertained, but I wasn't loving what I was seeing. I also wasn't a big fan of the voices. I felt like Miles Teller's voice he was really trying to put on this raspy, tough man voice. And then when you hear the real Ruddy, he doesn't sound anything like that. And then you have Giovanni Ribisi's character who's playing Joe Colombo, and he sounds like the Cookie Monster. It was just very comedic, and like they felt like they were in different movies. I think what bothered me about the show was every actor was given different notes to do, or they were just told to do whatever they want, because they all feel like they're from different shows and different movies, all kind of playing the same thing. Even Matthew Goode, he's so eccentric at times, and I'm sure that the real Evans was as eccentric, but it doesn't match the flow of the show and how the other characters are kind of matching with it.
I like Evans, who's very just like that schmoozy. He's like, "Hey, booby, let's get this taken care of. Don't worry about it. He was so like Paramount. 19, this is amazing.
Like a gangster.
Yeah,
kind of,
but he was fun to watch.
But he was fun to watch. But the thing is, like, almost all the characters are very interesting to watch. Even you have from Ted Lasso. I'm blanking on her name right now. She plays Betty.
Juno Temple.
Juno Temple. Yeah. She could be utilized more. I think that she's a really interesting character, but it's almost like convenience sake. They'll turn to her and they'll be like, well, how do we find out this? Oh, don't worry. I already have the answer. And I think that was the other thing with the show for me, is that every problem that a character faced or was brought up was instantly resolved the next scene. And of course, we know that The Godfather gets made because it's based on history.
Yeah.
But they never dwell in the struggles of making this movie. Every struggle is immediately resolved, so you never kind of feel the weight of it. Yeah.
Do you guys think I should? Do you guys think I should talk like this for the rest of the episode? Not a fan?
No, not
okay.
A fan.
I won't do that. No, I'm in of both minds with you. I think what we all could agree on with the show is that it's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Like there's some like I said, The Godfather is one of the most beloved films of all time. I think it is the film that everyone will look at as, if somebody's told you their favorite movie of all time is The Godfather, you'd believe them. And what's great with Paramount Plus, which we gave a lot of flack to HBO Max for this at the beginning, they're coming out of the gate with Paramount Plus. Well, Paramount Plus has been around, but with the kind of relaunch that they've been doing, with giving us solid shows based around, IPs that we're familiar with. So now we have Halo, we've had a couple others, and now we're getting a show with big talents around The Godfather. And I think that's what I really love about the show. And I think that's what's been carrying me through the show is my love of The Godfather. Yeah, there's definitely characters and performances and moments that it just feels very first drafts. This is the base emotion of a character. And like you said, Shay, there's definitely moments where it kind of gave me a sitcom vibe or made for TV movie vibe, where it's like they almost wink at the camera when it's like, oh, how are we going to solve this? And it's like, I got an idea. And then it gets commercial break. It cuts to the next scene with it being solved. And that's fine. I get it. Because at the end of the day, you have only so much time. But what I really wish these first 3 episodes successfully landed is making us invested in these characters. So we have Al Ruddy, we have Mario Puzo, who's set up to be this writer who is not successful, who is deep in gambling debts, and literally his next, and it's like we're introduced to him as, nobody came to his book signing. I'm in deep with the loan sharks and gambling. And then the next scene is, well, do you want to write the script for The Godfather, the most successful book of all time? And it's like, hold on a second, like pump the brakes a little bit, because I would have loved a whole episode just on Mario Puzo, just to learn about him and learn about his struggles and, kind of build all the players before we dive into the rest of the story. Same with Al Ruddy. I would have loved to, learn more about his time at Rand, even if it wasn't as interesting, or use that as a diving board to get to something else. But it just felt like the struggle that you want to see happen kind of gets fast forwarded through. It's like in the movie Click. It's like as soon as an obstacle happens in life, it's like we fast forward to when it gets successful.
Because we never see the inspiration for anything that's coming forward, right? We just see the resolution for it.
Right. So I would have just loved to spend more time with it. But man, Dan Fogler as Francis Ford Coppola, fantastic casting. Yeah. He was so fun to watch in this. Coppola, I think, in these first 3 episodes is my favorite character. Mm-hmm. He's just so fun to watch. And I think this is what the show does really well, is that you have these crazy characters. You have to be a little bit crazy to make movies. And clearly everyone in the show, I think, does a good job of at least displaying that, because to pull off a movie, to pull off anything that happens in the first 3 episodes of the show is nothing short of a miracle. And the show does, I think, that really well, where it's just like, let's just go on a crazy journey and watch it. But like we said, I think there are moments in the show that I think could have really been stronger, and especially with the subject matter being The Godfather, the greatest movie of all time. I think our expectations are also like, give us a show that is on par with what we know The Godfather to be. And I think maybe that's part of my criticism that's false, or our criticism that's false, where it's like, we want the blanks to be filled in, but we know they're filled in because we have the movie, right? And I think that's me, and like maybe like I want to see more of the things that we know from the movie, but I think that's like, this isn't that story, it's something else. But I do think that it is a very fascinating story. Any other thoughts before we get to our final recommendations?
I think one of the things that I kind of want to touch on as well is, you I think we're spoiled by a lot of the new players in the game, like HBO Max, or I guess HBO's been around, but Disney Plus stars and everything, where they're taking
Apple TV Plus
as well. They're taking true stories, subject matters, making them into 6 to 8 episodes, and each episode is very compelling. I wish they trimmed a lot of the fat out of this show and told us about, maybe if they spent 3 episodes on 3 individual characters, and then us getting to The Godfather, episode 4 or 5 or whatever, because I'm curious as to where the show is going to go. But I feel like it's going to rush through a lot of things, and I wish it spent more time on those. Again, I'm entertained by the show. I love Dan Fogler, but maybe it's just knowing that there are a lot of shows out there that do true stories, and they do a better job of it.
Sure. Let's get to our final recommendations. Anthony, I'm going to get you to start us off.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a watch it for me. If you have Paramount Plus, or if you don't, I think this is a great time to sign up for, if they have like a weekly trial to get.
They do, yeah.
Just to get into the first, 3 episodes will be released at the same time. Yeah,
you got it.
So you could just watch the first 3, and if you like it, you can sign up for it. But yeah, this is if you're a fan of The Godfather, even if you're not a fan of The Godfather, you're a fan of movies, you're a fan of that time period during movies, you're going to learn a lot about Paramount. You're going to learn a lot about The Godfather. You'll have fun watching it. Yes, some of the characters are interesting, and maybe the plot is not as smartly written as you would expect in 2022. But I think the story, the root of this show, the story is what grips you and what gets you into this whole series. So yeah, it's a definite watch it for me.
Excellent. Like Anthony, for myself, I am going to say, check out the first 3 episodes. Use that free trial, whatever you get with Paramount Plus. watch the first 3 episodes, because if you love The Godfather, if you love movies, or I'm assuming you love movies if you're listening to the show first and foremost. So I will always take that assumption. But if you love the way movies are made, and if you love The Godfather, which write into the show if you don't, let us know why. Check out these first 3 episodes, because they will be the litmus test of whether or not you want to stay signed up for an additional 7 weeks to finish out the series. So definitely check out the first 3 episodes, and it's for you. Keep going. Shahbaz, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think if you're a fan of The Godfather, obviously, watch the first 3 episodes. But if you're not, this is not something that I think you have to go out to watch.
Excellent. Thank you so much for listening to the movie podcast review of The Offer. Don't forget, you could catch this, the first 3 episode premiere this Friday, April 28th on Paramount Plus. And like we said, you can get a free 7-day trial. Thursday. Is that Thursday?
Thursday.
The 28th. Thank you for the correction. Thursday, April 28th, you'll be able to catch the first 3 episodes on Paramount Plus. If you are an Apple TV Plus user, there is a 7-day free trial that you could check out there. And I want to say thank you again to our friends at Paramount Plus for inviting us to watch it. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for review episodes just like this one and all the latest movies and series. Make sure to follow us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at
hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca.
You could also follow us on youtube.com/TheMoviePodcast and check out our show notes for all of those links and more. That was This Time with The Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.